The Wild West. I bet the first images that come to mind are dusty cowboys on horseback, blazing shootouts on sandy Main streets, or the clinking of glasses in a bustling saloon. It's a story we've heard again and again. A story of men. But what about the women? Were their roles truly limited to the meek homemakers, the provocative saloon girls, or the weary mothers waiting for their husbands to return? If you think so, you're missing half the story. And it's a half that is just as strong, just as resilient, and just as extraordinary. The story of the women who truly shaped the West. Welcome to The Forgotten Women of the Wild West. My name is Eliza Vance, and I'm a historian always on the hunt for the real stories. It all started with a dusty old wooden box. A box filled with my great-grandmother's keepsakes. A woman who lived where the trails had no names and the law was just a suggestion. Inside that box, I found a worn, fragile letter, written in her trembling hand. It wasn't about shootouts, and it wasn't about gold. It was about women. About Sadie, about Nellie, and about my great-grandmother herself, Martha. They weren't legends carved into tombstones. They were warriors, pioneers, entrepreneurs. People who used their grit and their hearts to build a new world. In that old letter, my great-grandmother wrote of the women of the town. She said, "We were the threads that wove the tapestry." And the first thread I want to pull is a tough, rugged, and fearless one. My great-grandmother called her Sadie Saddle-up Miller. Sadie never wore dresses. She wore worn-out denim pants, cowboy boots, and an old leather hat. When the men laughed, she just tightened her reins and let her horse do the talking. When rustlers tried to steal their family's cattle, Sadie, at just 19 years old, faced them alone. With her quick thinking and incredible marksmanship, she drove them off, but not before she had recovered every stolen animal. Sadie proved she didn't need a man to protect her or her family. She was the protector. She was the cowboy. She was an untold legend. But the West wasn't built just on bullets and horses. It was built on perseverance, and that brings me to the story of Eleanor Nellie Grant. Nellie arrived in a dusty mining town with nothing but shanties and men hungry for gold. My great-grandmother wrote that Nellie had no money, but she had an idea, a laundry business. At first, people just laughed. "What does a woman know besides doing laundry?" a miner said. But Nellie didn't care. She turned her laundry into the town's hub. When the miners came, they didn't just get clean clothes. They got news from home, advice on disputes, and a safe place to trade stories. Nellie wasn't just a businesswoman. She was a community leader. The turning point came when the town faced a brutal winter. The miners' money was running out, and the town's only coal mine was for sale for a pittance. The men were ready to give up. But Nellie wasn't. With a small amount of money she had saved from her laundry work, and by convincing everyone to pitch in, she bought the coal mine. As the fires kept burning through the winter, people saw Nellie as more than a woman who washed clothes. They saw a town queen who had saved them all. Finally, the story that my great-grandmother told most powerfully was her own, that of Martha Vance. She was a mother, a wife. She didn't have a gun like Sadie, or a business mind like Nellie. She had something even more powerful, a mother's grit. During their westward migration, a terrible blizzard hit. The wagon train was stranded. Some people were despairing. But my great-grandmother wasn't. With her knowledge of herbs and folk medicine, she saved a child's life from a high fever. She didn't have a map, but she had a brave heart. She led the entire group to shelter in a cave, using thin blankets and a campfire to keep everyone warm. She performed extraordinary deeds with just the hands of a woman. She proved that building a community wasn't about building structures, but about preserving lives. Finishing these stories, I look back at my great-grandmother's letter. The names, Sadie, Nellie, Martha, are no longer just names on a page. They are real people who wove the very fabric of the West's history. I realized something. They were not just lone heroes. They were part of a strong network. Sadie protected the trails for people like Nellie, helping her business thrive. Nellie, with her laundry, created a community center where other women, like my great-grandmother, could find connection and support. And my great-grandmother, with her sheer will, kept those communities alive. They were warriors, pioneers, builders. My great-grandmother's words at the end of her letter echo in my mind. We didn't just build homes, we built communities. And that's what truly conquered the West. I fold the letter, feeling a profound connection to these women. I know the article I need to write won't be about shootouts, but about a different kind of bravery. A silent courage, more enduring than any bullet. The courage of a mother, a sister, a friend, a wife. I set my pen down. The title is clear in my mind. Behind the Guns, The Women Who Built the Wild West. This video isn't just a history lesson. It's a reminder that behind every legend, every heroic tale told, there are always untold stories. And here's the last thing I want you to take with you. The next time you see an image of the Wild West, don't just see the men with the guns. Look beyond. Look for the woman standing at the general store, the one caring for the children, the one doing the laundry. Look for the people who built the towns, the communities, and the future. Because the Wild West wasn't just shaped by the strength of its guns, but by the resilience of its forgotten women. Join me as we go back in time to find out who really conquered the West.